Hello everybody, it's me, the Nomad Communion. Thank you for joining me today at this amazingly formal, impressively well-lit room for this brilliant ceremony of thought that we're about to embark upon. Now, I've had this thought for a very long time, ever since I started getting more and more into music production. If you're familiar with me, you'll know that I've been a music producer since 2013. Music producer, we'll say that lightly. I've been trying to make music since 2013. If you've known me longer than that, then you'll know that I've been a part of music my entire life. When I was a kid, we had a little organ thing, which was really, really cool. It wasn't like a full organ, I don't know what it was, but it was like big enough that it took a corner of the room up. Let me get it. Not the organ, but there's a picture of me in 2003 with like spaghetti on my face and shit, and I was sitting on the organ and I was plonking away. Well, I found the picture. I'm just surprised that I didn't actually remember what it looked like. Doesn't show up that well on camera, but there's me tucking into a plate of spaghetti, and I've got it all over my face, bless me. And you can see the piano, organ, whatever it is in the back. So from a very young age, I was obsessed with music, always listening to the stuff that my parents grew up on. Beatles, Pink Floyd, Elvis, so many rock bands, I remember. I don't remember the names of them. I can't tell you the names of them. I listened to a wealth of music growing up, and I was exposed to a wealth of music growing up. Most prominently, I think the things that shaped my music the most have been video game soundtracks, radio stations in the early GTA games. We can attest most of my enjoyment of music from that. Most of my current inspirations have been either from myself, funnily enough, or from video game soundtracks. Creators like Jesper Kid from Borderlands series, Mikko Tarmia from Amnesia and Soma, Jessica Curry from Dear Esther and Machine for Pigs, C418, Minecraft needs no introduction, Masatoshi Yanagi from Evil Within 2, Jeremy Soule, as if he needs any introduction, from Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, and so many other orchestras that are responsible for scores in games like Alien Isolation or Starfield or Outlast. So many video game influences have been the most prominent ones for me in recent years, and it's led me to the question, ever since I started, we are getting to the point of the video, I promise. Ever since I started getting back into music production in 2020 with my first music project, Brideyard, if you remember that. 3 years ago yesterday. It's the 21st today, yeah. Since I started getting more and more sample packs and sample libraries and spending more and more money on them, samples are largely the point of this video. Spitfire Audio is a large force in the music industry at the moment, with a bunch of different packs available for sale, a bunch of different instruments, and curated plugins with solo and group producers as well. They have been pushing so many products out of incredible quality, and I've been buying a lot of them. And it's led rise to quite a few interesting questions that I don't know if they have answers or not. Namely, how much of this art actually belongs to me if I'm playing none of the instruments? How many unseen strangers' talent do I owe my songs to? Am I less of a composer for utilizing sample libraries, and would I still be good if I didn't have access to them? And quite possibly the biggest question of all that I can think of, is digital talent real talent? Now, I don't think I'm the best producer in the room, by far. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm constantly on a journey of learning. I think about that from with every approach to life, is that I will never have the full picture, but I can try. And I can always try and learn new things and better myself and develop new strategies. However, I'm also not modest. My music is good. I think I am a decent enough composer and producer. And I think some of my work, not all of it, I think some of my work is testament to that. Not that I think it's the best, obviously. I'm not a fucking egotistical maniac. I am just as much aware of my shortcomings as anybody else, if not more aware. But it raises a really interesting point. Would I still have talent? And I don't know the answer to that. If I had a whole orchestra at my side, if I had every instrument in this room, would I have the skill, and would I have the patience and willpower to learn all of those instruments? And then would I have the ability, the technical prowess to put that all together into an arrangement? I truly don't know. I don't know if I even can know. Nor do I know if it even means anything. I tend to deal with dark ambient and orchestral stuff. They are the sounds I enjoy the most organic, acoustic, human instruments, the real ones, not synthesizers. Not that synthesizers are bad sounding, I like a lot of synthesizers. It's a digital form, you know, it's a digital creation of a signal. Whereas the instruments that we have made, I'm very much a practical person. I'm not sentimental very often. I own very few things because I don't hold on to material objects that much. But I'm very much a hands-on type of man who needs something in front of him, needs to be able to see it and understand how it works before I can approach it myself. Now, I don't know if I would have the willpower to learn all those instruments, considering as I have guitars over there and a ukulele that I bought 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. It's coming up on 3 years, actually, that I still haven't learned. Just laziness. There's no other excuse for it. So I don't know if I had an entire orchestra, would I still be able to make something sound good? The definition of art is so fickle, and having the ability to create your own is one of the most profoundly comforting and, don't say impressive, that's not the right word, but it's one of the most enabling things, I suppose, would be another word. It doesn't even feel right still. I think to live in an age where music tools are becoming more and more widespread and available to so many more people is really cool. I think that having the ability to express yourself through the means of music production and music creation is just fantastic. I feel like we are on the verge of so much untapped art when we're discovering these new avenues. Because obviously instrumentation and arrangements have existed for millennia. Like since there has been humankind, there has always been music. But never have we been in a position where the mass digitalization of music software and free tools and samples and coaching and tutorials, we've never had that. And it's really inspiring to see. Another thought that I've had and that I've seen friends of mine share is, would we be good composers without any of that? Would we be good composers and producers if we had to learn a different way? If we didn't have access to these technologies? If I was born the day after Mozart, would I be able to make something as influential as he did? Where do I end and the art begins? How much of myself is my art? What is art? What is humanity? It boils down to these huge, vague, sweeping, armchair philosophy questions that are completely undefinable, so you can make up your own fucking interpretation and make yourself sound like the smartest person in the room. Which I'm definitely going to do. But these are all interesting points to me, and like any industry, the music industry obviously isn't free of condemnation. The music industry is it's probably the most corrupt industry that we've had, I would wager. Because the amount of stuff that's gone on over the last decades, century, is just like, you know? Something wholly disabling to me about the notion of music production is the idea of chord packs and samples in general. I think samples from VSTs, like orchestral samples and stuff, I think that's fine, packaging that all together. Having all the instruments be standalone, I think is fine, but I very much have a disservice with the aggressive marketing. It's not the word that I want. I very much have gripes with the aggressive commercialization of music, and how in light of streaming processes to make like unison MIDI chord pack, you know, like I feel like that stuff is so fucking lazy and enables low effort music to dominate and come out on top for the sheer soul of monetization, the sheer intent of making money, and not expressing yourself for the intrinsic joy of humanity and art and just being alive. It's a profoundly disabling notion that people, like any industry, want to take advantage of it and abuse it for their own personal gain, rather than make something that is reflective, constructive, interesting. Where there are people, there are salesmen. That will always be the case. And where there are salesmen, there are scoundrels. So when it comes down to the question of, am I talented? I don't know. I truly don't know. I'd like to believe that I am, and I'd like to believe that my approach to the form of media that is music has been somewhat constructive and transformative. I would argue that I'm taking an interesting stance and trying to make something very unique to myself. Hollowed Sorrow being part horror ARG, part philosophical dive into your own makeup and own future. Horizon Origins being the soundtrack to a game. Again, that's something just a little bit more transformative. To Take a Life being an audio drama with a narrative and characters and a story, Foley elements and cutscenes, essentially being this very cinematic story-driven experience. I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with these I don't want to say challenges to the form, because it's not all that experimental. It's nothing that people haven't done already before. This isn't new stuff. I'm fully aware of that. But I hope you can tell through all of the stuff that I do that I'm trying to make art. Pure and simple. I'm not trying to make a profit. I'm not trying to change the world either. I'm just trying to make something a little bit unique and reflective and transformative. And then my newest projects that I've been working on for the last few years being this giant sweeping novel and short film and album tie-in that To Take a Life is a part of. I know I've mentioned this already, but I hope you can tell that I'm trying to better myself as a producer and make something that is wholly important. If not to you, at least to me. Make the art that you want to see in the world. That's something that I like. That's a phrase that I like. I still have a lot of growing to do. I still have a lot of learning to do. I'm never going to be finished learning. There's always new things you can discover and new ways you can try situations. Not only am I fully aware of that, I fully embrace it as well. The learning process of being a human. There's not really much of a point to this video, it's more of an open platform to just ask a couple questions. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.